Is Nomsa Clara Mncube. I'm the founder of Hope Spring Eternal Introduction Agency and the founder of Gossip Talk Show. So today with me I have John Kenny. He is a relationship guy, and I have had the pleasure to work with John at Gossip Talk Show. He is a motivational speaker. He's one of the speakers at Gossip Talk Show, and also he is basically become part of the family, the community of Gossip Talk Show and Hope Spring Eternal Introduction Agency. So I'm going to let John introduce himself and tell our audience who. John, can you please introduce yourself and tell our audience who is John Kenny?
Hi, Nomsa. Yes, of course. So as Nomsa said, I'm John Kenny. I'm the relationship guy, and I'm the coach to successful singles who struggle with success in their intimate relationships. So my original background, started working in personal development about 2004, and I trained to be a therapist as a counsellor. And then in 2012, after setting up my own counselling agency, I met a coach, and they asked me why my life still sucked, even though I was helping lots of other people. So I embarked on coaching and then decided to train to coach, and then added hypnotherapy, NLP practitioners training, and psychology diploma to all of my kind of skills. And then in 2016, I decided to start the John Kenny coaching brand and fused all of my training, all of my experience together to form what I call interpersonal relationship coaching, or IRC. And that helps people to kind of really delve down into their relationships. So understanding themselves, why they attract certain type of people into their lives and what they're attracted to, why they may have never been able to find the right type of person. Maybe they've attracted sort of toxic and unhealthy relationships in the past. Maybe they've kind of avoided relationships because they didn't know how to connect or have a deep level of commitment with somebody. And perhaps they've just really just focused on other areas of their life and never really thought of the idea of bringing someone in to complement their lifestyle. So I help people to kind of understand where that all comes from and to figure out what they want in a relationship and to go out and find that.
So thank you so much, Jenny, for what you do and helping singles find that special person and helping them to have that loving and fulfilling relationship. So can you actually explain what made you actually, because I'm listening to you, what made you actually decide to actually become the guy, the relationship coach?
Yeah. So from my therapy background, I was always very good at the relational type stuff. My supervisor was always telling me that I'm very good at working out the relational connections between what's going on for people. I also trained as a couples therapist, so I used to do a lot of couples therapy work, and I still do the occasional bit of couples coaching as well. And in 2016, after I ruptured my knee playing football, and I was sitting around not doing very much for a while, I was really excited to consider where I wanted my career to go to. And at the time, I was kind of integrating the coaching into counselling a little bit, but I was kind of doing a wide range of coaching. And I just thought, I really liked the idea of just focusing on relationships. So I decided to, like I said, to create interpersonal relationship coaching and then focus on being a relationship coach. And originally, I can hear myself on your screen on my feedback. Yeah. So then it's quite disconcerting hearing myself.
Can you hear it now?
No, it's gone. Yes. So where was I? Yes, I started that in 2016, and I originally started to focus on toxic and unhealthy relationship spaces. So my personal history of relationships is a bit of a mess. So I attracted quite a lot of toxic and unhealthy relationships into my life, and learned how to manage those in a more confident and healthy way. So whether those people were still in my life or as they were coming in and out of my life, was trying to manage those in a better way for myself. So I started coaching people focusing on that area. So if people were stuck in unhealthy relationships, or either they wanted to keep people in their lives, generally family members that weren't very healthy for them, but then they wanted to manage their mindset and manage those relationships in a better way, I focused a lot more on that. And then at the beginning of last year, I started to focus a little bit more on, actually, because I was in a better space. I was ready to, so I was married at the time, and since subsequently that relationships split up because it wasn't the right thing for either of us. And I was thinking, I actually want to focus now on finding the right relationship for myself. And I really did quite a lot of research, a lot of work, did a lot of internal work on myself and thinking about actually what do I really want for myself moving forward in a relationship. And I thought, well, that would be a really good thing to try and help people to do. And then after the first lockdown, I had quite a lot of people contacting me saying, look, I've been single during lockdown. I really want to understand why I'm single. I want to know why I haven't been able to find the right type of person. And then I started to focus more on the relationship guy title. So I called myself the relationship guy and thought, you know what, I'm going to help people to find quality relationships, because there's a 75-year study from Yale University, and they concluded that there is a direct correlation between your quality of life as a whole and the quality of your relationships. So I decided to try and help people to find that quality in their lives.
Thank you so much. I've got loads of questions to ask based on what you just said. So for somebody who has been single for a long time and they seem to be making excuses and saying, I can't find the right spouse, or I'm not ready to date, what advice can you give that person at this minute?
Yeah, so I would suggest that you start looking at the reasons why that's the case. Why do you feel that it might be that you've maybe just split up from somebody and you're not quite ready to put yourself back into that space again? Or maybe there's a resistance in you to be able to allow yourself to connect with someone at a deeper level. You may have some kind of avoidant personality, which means that when you become too close to someone that your brain switches off. It may be that you've got an anxious type personality, that therefore when you become close to someone, you get anxiety and all of the things from your past might start coming into play. It might be just that really you've never really focused on finding that person and you've just sort of flitted from one relationship to the next. Again, there would generally be something going on under the surface as far as that's concerned. So to understand that for yourself, do you feel safer on your own? Generally, as if we're kids and we are in relationships which maybe don't make us feel very safe, then what we'll do, we'll find a safe space. I know that was definitely the case for me. Being safe meant playing by myself with my toys and stuff. I removed myself from the relationships in my family because I didn't feel very emotionally secure. So it could be something like that. You could just believe in your subconscious that being by yourself is a much happier, safer place for you to be. But that might not necessarily be true. Again, so we look at relational patterns, relational beliefs, and understanding what your idea of a relationship is. If in somewhere in your mind, relationships are unreliable, that they cause you pain, that they're not something that can be actually any kind of healthy space for you to be in, then you're going to avoid a deeper commitment, a deeper connection with people because of the way that you see relationships. And therefore you'll avoid having that deeper, meaningful contact that you probably want, but don't allow yourself to have.
Thank you so much, John. But some people may say, but you don't understand that I've been hurt before. So I've lost that trust. So what advice can you give someone who is watching right now and saying, I've been hurt before, I've lost that trust of getting out there and meeting somebody else? So is there any advice you can give?
Yes, trust is a big issue, isn't it? If we lose trust in something, then it's very difficult then to believe that we can be okay moving into that space again. Unfortunately, pain can be a process of life. It's something that we can all manage, and it's something that we can all work through. And it's better to have lived and loved than never to have loved at all. So, but again, there may be something about the relationships that people have attracted or they've chosen in the past, which leads to this trust being broken. It may be that they have an unhealthy attraction style going on. So they might have a set of relational ideas that they keep repeating for themselves. So they might be choosing the wrong people. Perhaps they're not thinking about what they really want from somebody. Maybe they're thinking a lot about what they don't want from somebody. Unfortunately, if we think about all the things that we don't want in a relationship, we have a tendency to find them, because there's part of your brain that is actually triggered when you're looking for things. So if I say I don't want someone who cheats, then your brain is always looking for someone who cheats, because you're looking to avoid them. So the only people you have a tendency to find are people that cheat, because they're the only people your subconscious is picking up on. It could be, again, that part of your safety mechanism is to keep yourself single. So you could be choosing people that you know subconsciously you're not going to have a healthy relationship with, but you go ahead and do that anyway because it feels familiar. Trust is something that needs to be rebuilt, but I think there's a lot to do with also the trust you have in yourself, the confidence you have in yourself, the belief that you have in yourself, and to have a really healthy relationship with you. So then if you do end up in a relationship which isn't really working, or if someone does break your trust, then you're in a very healthy position within yourself to go, actually, you know what, this is okay. I can manage this. I can be okay on my own. I can finish this relationship. I can walk away from this relationship. I might be a little bit in pain for a little while, but I know that I'll be okay. And I can then refocus my attention on going out and finding someone that I can trust. So again, it can be very complicated. There can be a lot of reasons why that might be going on. But to rebuild trust is a time thing in general. But to have that belief in yourself and that trust in yourself is a really good start.
So much. Thank you so much, John. I think I agree with you. I think it's very, very important. If you are looking for something, or even if you've been hurt before, there are so many people who have been hurt before, and we all have gone through challenges in life. So you just have to be open to the universe of God and just say, this is what I desire, basically, or let whatever the decision, the universe, because the universe reads now. So if you are healed, I think there's nothing should stop you doing what you want, because the person who have hurt you, that means they're messed up, not you. You are not messed up. So so that's how I see things, that okay, this person has hurt me, or they've done this. So I always say they're messed up, and I always pray for them that they get better and that life must go on. Because can you imagine you hold your life and somebody else, the person you're holding your life, and they're actually having a hell of a great time. So I actually agree with you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So have you always been in role service?
Yes, I've always been in the role of service. From an early age, even when I was sort of 16, 17, I remember being in the sixth form at school, and I used to sit in the corner of the sixth form block, and I had my little lunch with me, and people would come and sit next to me and tell me all their problems, and want their advice, want some advice about what's going on in their lives. And I would just have this little agony uncle sort of corner, and people would just come and sit next to me and tell me all their problems and ask me what I thought about it. So there was clearly something about me that was enabled people to come to me and sort of know that I wouldn't judge, that I would be open, that I would listen. And I kind of didn't really do anything with that, but I did work in service. I worked in shops, in retail, so I was always serving people there. Then I went into selling insurance and stuff like that, so I was serving people there. And then the thing that got me into counselling in therapy in the first place was when I went to university. I went to university very late because I wanted to train to be a teacher. So again, I was choosing another service role, but I didn't really like teaching. But I got interested in counselling because I had to do an introduction to counselling course while I was at university in order to work with the kids and stuff. When I didn't know what to do when I left the university, I'd always been into fitness. I used to run for Great Britain, so I'd always kept fit. So I decided to become a personal trainer. So I trained to be a personal trainer. Then I joined the fire brigade. Again, another job of service. I was a firefighter for 12 years. And while I was in the fire service, I trained to be a therapist. And then I left the fire brigade when I started to do coaching. So I've always been in some kind of service area where I've been helping other people. And it was only when I found the sort of coaching that I do now that actually I found what I really wanted to do. So I kind of always knew that I wanted to help people and serve people in some way. But I never really figured that out until about 6 or 7 years ago.
When you say when you were at school and you had your lunchbox and people would just come with their their problems,
Yeah.
and you solve them. It sounds familiar. I used to solve other people's problems, but I didn't know how to solve mine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If someone comes with their issues, I'll be like, yeah, let's do this, you do this, you do this. I'll be really, really great to give them advice. But with my life, you'll be like, oh my God, my life will be messed up. So thank you so much for that. Where is John gone? You're back. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. I've lost you for a second, that moment. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, John. So how do you help your clients? So I'm gonna do this. I didn't tell you I'm gonna do this.
Okay.
So I'm coming to you right now. I have a problem. I'm having problems in basically with attachment. Yesterday we spoke about attachment. I have problems in my childhood, back in my childhood. But this problem is affecting me picking men. I've been single for a long time. So all I'm doing, basically, I'm going out. I know what I want. I know my desires. But when I go out, I just go for anything. As long as it has trousers, it's good. So please.
Okay, I shouldn't laugh. I shouldn't laugh at your problem, but it was very interesting that you just...
Oh no, we're doing an interview. You can laugh at me because I want you to laugh. I don't want you to feel sorry for me.
Okay, so yeah, so what you're looking for is connection. You're looking for something that makes you feel connected to somebody else. So, but what actually you're looking for, by the sounds of it, is something temporary. So I would suggest that you have from your childhood issues, which if you were a client of mine, that's the first thing that we would talk about would be your history. I'd get an idea about what your upbringing was like, get an idea of your relational past to see what kind of relationships you'd experienced. And then I would be able to understand probably what your attachment was like, how you thought about relationships, an understanding of how you think about yourself in relationships and what your self-esteem and your self-worth is like. Again, you could be grabbing anything in trousers because you don't feel worthy of affection. You don't feel worthy of long-term love because you don't believe that exists, or you don't believe that you deserve it or that you can have it. Your attachment could be either probably, if you're going to delve into lots of different relationships, I'd imagine you've got an avoidant type attachment. So therefore, you're looking for something temporary because you don't know how to do long-term commitment. So therefore, your brain's saying, let me jump headfirst into this for 5 minutes, and then I can just walk away from this whenever I feel like it. But I would suggest if you're looking for these people and you're sleeping with them on a regular basis on a first date, or you're just taking them home when you just met them, then there's something very unhealthy about how you see yourself going on there. There could be something in your past to do with abuse. There could be something to do with neglect. But it looks like you're looking for some kind of a connection with somebody on a temporary basis. And all of that subconscious, maladaptive, unhealthy type process is going on in the background of your mind. And that's something I would help you to explore to see what that was about for you. But until I know what your history of relationships is, then I won't be able to kind of pinpoint what it is that you're actually searching for. But we know that you're on a kind of a self-destructive path anyway, a self-sabotaging path. So we would have to address that kind of first thing.
Okay, I'm going to find a history here because we're helping the audience.
Yeah.
So let's say my history was sexual abuse. There are some people who have been sexually abused, and they feel that they are not worthy when they in their adult life. So what advice can you give somebody who is watching right now? So this is my situation.
Okay.
I'm empty.
Right. So again, the sexual abuse could lead to different outcomes, but it sounds like perhaps that the only way you've got affection in the past or felt like you've got attention in the past is via sex, some kind of sexual act. So therefore, it could be that the only way you know how to achieve that kind of feeling again is to get. So therefore, you're allowing this type of behaviour to go on because you're wanting that feeling again, because that's the only feeling you know how to get. Also, that the idea that you are not worth any more than that, perhaps. So there's a lot of work then to do on your self-worth and self-esteem. So we need to look at how you feel about yourself, kind of language that you're using when you talk about yourself, and to really work on that self-acceptance. Self-love is a really important thing. It's a difficult thing to get going when you've never experienced it. So I would try and help people to start with understanding how they feel about themselves, and then really stop any sort of self-criticism and start to be just okay with yourself. Because if you've got a negative idea about you, you're likely to never allow good things into your life. So it's important that we start to shift away from that negative self-view. So by doing some kind of self-talk, positive affirmations, being okay with yourself, even if you can't say, I like myself, I love myself, you can say that I'm okay, I want more, I deserve more, I'm worth more, and trying to kind of change how you see you. And then we would also need to address that idea that sex isn't connection, really. It is a form of connection, but it's not an affection. It's just a temporary stopgap. So we understand what need you've got, so the need that you're trying to fulfill. So if you're trying to fulfill a need of feeling wanted, again, it's just to, again, challenge that thought process. You know it's not the right thing for you to do. You know it's quite self-destructive. But the more you improve that relationship with yourself, the more you check in with that language you use with yourself, the more you kind of tell yourself and your subconscious that you're not going to get your emotional needs met by just going out and sleeping with the first person that shows you any attention, then you can start to change the kind of thing that you're doing and also the people that you attract. Because if you're putting out that energy that you just want sex, you're going to attract people generally to you that just want sex. So I would suggest that in that case, you've got some kind of anxious avoidant tech going on as well. The anxiety to be loved, to be cared for. You're not going to attract the type of person that's going to be able to make you feel safe and secure within a relationship. So there's a few start points. It's to understand that you're doing this because maybe that's all you've ever known, that there's a drive in you, a compulsion in you to be physically close to someone because that's the only positive attention you ever got, and that needs to be rethought. That what you deserve, what you want for yourself in life, and then to check in with your self-language. How actually are you talking to yourself? Do you think you deserve more? Do you tell yourself this is all you can have? How crappy do you feel the next day when you've gone out and met these people and just taken them home and had sex with them? Likelihood is you're going to feel very deflated and very worthless and very useless and used and all those types of things, again, which will come back to the stuff you probably felt when you were abused at a young age.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jonah. I'm sure if anyone who is watching, no matter what they've been through, they're going to understand that they are worthy. They're going to put themselves first, because in life, you have to put you first. It doesn't matter how much you've been hurt by people. People always hurt you. So you can't say, I'm not going to do this or continue with my life because of the events that happen on this day. So life must go on and be able to forgive as well.
And I think it's important with that, but you're actually hurting yourself. It's not just about being hurt by others, because actually, if you're creating that environment for yourself, you're the person that's doing all the hurting, because you're putting yourself into a situation which you know is going to cause you a certain amount of pain. So it's not actually the other person that's causing you the hurt. It's if you're doing that, you're creating the environment for you to feel that hurt, because you're the one that's inviting that in a way, because you don't know how to do it another way.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you so much. So what are the principles that you use, like you give it to your clients or you use for yourself for building a good foundation in a relationship? So I promise this is my last question.
Right.
I'm not going to crucify you no more.
That's okay. That's all right. No, they're good questions. They're very interesting, and they delve deep into what people can do and the issues that might come up. So again, I think the first thing that I would work with is to help people to understand themselves. So again, it's really to have that deeper understanding, that knowledge of who you are and how you feel about yourself and what you're doing, and then being able to switch around the things that you believe. So we carry belief systems about ourselves, we carry belief systems about the world, and we're always looking for those beliefs to be made true, because they are our truths. So if my truth to myself, so let's just take myself for example, my truth was that I was never going to amount to anything. So my core belief was that I was never going to achieve anything in my life that was going to be worthwhile. So every time I started to do really well at something, so I used to run for Great Britain. So every time I would start running really, really well, I would then do something which would stop that. So I would actually maybe start dating, or I'd go out clubbing, or I'd drink too much, or I'd do some other things, which meant that I would take my focus away from my athletics, because I didn't feel like I could have success in my life. And obviously this was all subconscious. I didn't realize I was doing this at the time. And we do this within relationships. So if my belief about relationships is something I feel like is not happening, I have a tendency then to go and create that for myself. So again, if I believe that relationships are unsustainable, that I don't deserve something good, as soon as I find something that could be sustainable and I find something that could be good, my brain will say, but you can't allow this because you don't believe this to be true. What you believe is this. You now need to do something to make that belief come true. So we really need to shift the belief. So it's about saying, okay, what do I believe? And now what do I want to believe about relationships? What do I want to believe about myself? What am I going to allow for myself? And then we'll do certain affirmations, incantations, set certain focuses, goals, outcomes that we're looking for. One really important thing is what I mentioned earlier on, is if what we're looking for, we'd have a tendency to find. So what you said about the universe will provide for you, but we need to put that intention out there for us to be aware of what we really want. So most of us are really good at saying, I don't want this and I don't want that, but we don't say what we do want. So if I say I want someone who's going to be loyal, trustworthy, loving, caring, understanding, has the same interests as me, likes this and likes that, then my brain will go, okay, I'm going to help you to find that type of person. So again, it's about shifting from an I don't want list to a I do want list, so that we're looking for the right things. And then if they don't appear, it's okay for us to say, okay, I don't want that. I can walk away from it. That doesn't feel right to me. We have to be careful with our own gut feeling sometimes, because we are attracted to generally what we know. So when I used to get a gut feeling, I was very attracted. I'd meet someone and I thought, oh, this is amazing. I get this gut feeling, this is the right person for me. But actually what my brain was telling me was, this person's an anxious type of attachment person. They've got lots of insecurities and you find that very attractive. So then my brain was triggering these releases of hormones and stuff into my system because it recognized somebody that I was familiar with. It was very destructive and I didn't want it, but my brain was telling me that it was good for me because this is familiar. So again, it's about saying, okay, when my gut kicks in, is this because this is something I'm used to, or is this something that actually could be really good for me? You're probably not going to be able to figure that out until you've been with this person a few times. But it's also then to be really aware of the telltale signs of the relationships that you've had in the past. So we would look at maybe sort of triggers for you, things that you might have been attracted to that would cause you problems. And to say, okay, if this person does this type of thing, if this person says or is this type of person, then I need to know that it's okay for me to go, okay, I don't want this, I can walk away. Because, we don't owe anybody anything. If we're just dating them a few times, then they may get upset if we don't want to see them anymore, but okay, that's fine. They'll move on, they'll meet someone else. And so will you. So it's okay for you to say, actually, this isn't really for me. I can see red flags here. I'm feeling something that I would have felt before. I know that they're triggering things from my past, and I can walk away from this. It's not what I want anymore. What I want is A, B, C, and D. And to really work and focus on those types of things.
Thank you so much. I was talking to Des yesterday, Desmond O'Connor, where we met. So we were talking about relationships, because we normally have 1 hour, 30 minutes session every now and then, a video chat. So we had a video chat yesterday. We're talking about relationships, and because he's got an event coming up, a relationship coming up. Are you speaking on his event in June? Is he?
I've spoken to him. I spoke to him about it this week, so maybe yes. I'm gonna have to let him know near at the time.
Okay,
if there's no space is left, of course.
Yeah, so he was telling me about it. So he mentioned that in relationships, there are some women who actually there are some men and women, they go out and then they have these arrangements where they will start sleeping together, and but nothing is being said about having that exclusive relationship and stuff. Mm-hmm. They're just sleeping together, they are hanging out and sleeping together. When one of the person breaks that relationship, the other person assumes that. He was saying women normally assumes that when they sleep with someone, they are in a relationship with them. So what advice would you give a woman who is watching right now, who actually allow men to have sex with them, and when they break that, when that is broken, they end up being heartbroken? What advice can you give? In or just run? when a man says when a man want to sleep with you without explanation, do they run or do they allow them?
I think it's a very personal choice. If you want a relationship with somebody, then again, if you're putting out there that you know, again, it depends what you're thinking about. You know, your brain drives your behavior. So if you're thinking that I'm in my old pattern of I'll just sleep with people because that gets me affection, but you're not clear on what they actually want from you, then again, you are going to end up at the end of something very painful. If you're happy, if you're in a good space within yourself and you're like, you know, at the moment, I'm not really interested in having a serious relationship. I just want to have a bit of fun. Maybe you've just come out of a relationship, or maybe, you know, you've not quite done enough work on yourself to say, I want something substantial at the moment, but I'm quite happy just to have my sexual needs met. Then, you know, if that works both ways, but you need to be concrete about what you're looking for. If you haven't put that out there, then the other person isn't really going to know what you want. And if, again, you're still chasing affection via sex, then, again, you're going to just attract people that probably just want to have sex with you. But, again, it's being clear on what your intentions are and what your motivations are. So I would suggest if you're going to start sleeping with somebody, you want to know what they want. So I would figure that out before you started to have sex with them. Again, we would also just need to be careful because there are some people that would just tell you exactly what you want to hear. And at the time, generally, some people, especially if they're avoidant personalities have a tendency to want to be loved. They want to be connected and they want to have a relationship, but they don't know how to do it. So you might embark on this relationship with them and they might be promising you the world and saying all the right type of things because in that moment, that's what they really want. But actually, when it goes on for too long, or it becomes a bit too meaningful, or you might then tell them that, you know, this is where you want to take the relationship, all of that avoidance stuff might kick in and they'll leave you for dead because they don't really know how to go to the next stage. So I would just say, if you're going to sleep with someone, you need to be clear in your mind what the purpose of that is for you. And if you don't think that the person that you're with is on the same wavelength, then I would suggest that you don't do that, because again, once you start having sex with somebody, there's a tendency to the intimacy, the connection through sex can then escalate your hormonal responses, your emotional feelings, and therefore you could find yourself dragged into something you don't really want to be dragged into, because you'll start having feelings for them which you then weren't appropriate for the level of the relationship that exists. That's the problem when you have friends with benefits generally. It's unless you're completely clear in your own mind that you're okay with this and this is exactly what you want and you don't want anything else, then if you're in that relationship for long enough, it could then the boundaries become very blurred, and feelings can then start to develop, which you didn't want in the first place or didn't need in the first place on either side. And then you just have to be aware of if that's happening, where this relationship is going to take you. Again, if you feel like that and you carry on with it, you're leading yourself down the path to a lot of pain and destruction generally, because unless you talk to someone about where they are within the relationship, then you might be on completely different pages. Relationships can be very complex and very complicated, because we all have our own stuff that we carry as far as relationships are concerned, and they meet on an energy level. That doesn't mean it's a healthy energy level, but the more we work on ourselves and the healthier we are in ourselves, the healthier generally our relationships are going to be and those connections are going to be.
Thank you so much, John. I'm not going to keep you long. On your website, you have a program, a 6 weeks program that says get a complimentary copy of the People Program 6 weeks video course.
Yes.
Is it free or do you have to pay for it?
No, it's free. So a couple of years ago, I wrote my first book, which is called The People Program.
Oh, okay.
You can also get a free copy of the book on the website as well.
Oh, right.
So, so what it is, the book is actually, the first half of the book is my kind of a little bit about me, my sort of story about how I developed my sense of self, how I started to understand myself in relationships, the kind of relationships I experienced, and the thoughts and emotions and stuff I took forward from those. And the second half of the book is a 6-part program which asks you the questions so that you can figure a lot of that stuff out for yourself. The video program that I'm giving away on the website is the 6-part program with me just talking you through it, basically. So if anyone was interested in downloading the program, it's complimentary. Just go to my website. It's on the first bit of the page. Just click on there, fill out your details, and you'll get a weekly email with a link to each part of the program, and you can just follow that as you want after.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So it's the book and the program, 6 weeks program. I have to look into that as well. Or maybe direct my clients to go to your website as well. It sounds all exciting. And you do have a documentary as well. They have to access the documentary, you have to go to a membership site, is it?
No, the documentary is, there's just a page on the website. It says the Forget Me Not. So if you just click on the link to the Forget Me Not page, the documentary is still £1, I think, at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's available on Amazon on demand, but it's a bit more expensive on there. So the Forget Me Not documentary is about understanding the parts of our personality that we leave behind.
Oh, okay.
So when we grow up, when we're born, we are like a blank canvas, really. I mean, there are genetics and stuff that will dictate certain parts of ourselves and our personalities, but mostly we're a blank canvas. And then if we grow up in an environment where we're encouraged, we're supported, we're accepted, we're loved, then we generally grow up as a whole person, because all of the parts of our personality that develop, we accept within ourselves. Now, if I show a certain part of my personality as a child and my dad says to me, stop being stupid, stop messing about, you be quiet, don't do that, I don't like it when you do this, or whatever it is, then what we do as children, we have a tendency to suppress those parts of our personality. And then when we get older, we don't accept those parts of ourselves. So like, I don't know, if you drink and you go out and party, generally you're a different person once you've had a certain amount of alcohol.
Yeah.
Now, that could be because there's something going on in your life at that time which comes out, but generally, like, if you feel a bit freer, you're allowed to dance and you're allowed to talk, and that's part of you that you're suppressing, because the alcohol allows that part of you to come out. So you were probably told as a child to stop dancing or to stop messing about, or you were constricted and controlled a bit. So you don't allow it. So when we get older, we need to go, okay, what are the parts of my personality that I know are there, but I don't allow? I don't allow that to be seen. I'm not even comfortable with it myself. And that's generally the parts that we suppressed as children. And for us to be whole within ourselves, it's about allowing all of ourselves to be seen. And if we allow that to come out, we'll feel so much more fulfilled, we'll feel so much calmer, we'll feel less stressed, and we'll feel so much whole. That's not the right word. We'll feel so much more whole within ourselves. And that's what the documentary is about.
Okay. It sounds very, very exciting. I'm a very nosy packer, so I might go and pay and watch the documentary. I like to watch different things and the different coaches and see what they get up to. So I'll go and watch that documentary. Sounds very, very exciting. So any words of encouragement right now you would like to give to our audience? We've been on lockdown, and what I've noticed since we've been on lockdown, like the people that I know, relationship have broken down, and I was really shocked. There's some couples, the people that I know, and some of my friends, and some of them is the people that I know, and they're like, oh, we split up with this. I'm like, what now? And for me, lockdown, I don't know, as a relationship coach, for me, the lockdown, I've used the lockdown as a time to get to know my family because I'm always busy, I'm always on the go. So, but some people, the lockdown is taking something very, very important to them. So, what advice can you give someone who is going through challenges right now with their regarding their relationships, or somebody who's just basically they decided to split up? Any words of encouragement or comfort that you can give those people?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, everyone's going to be dealing with this in a different way because we're all going to have different feelings. I actually, the same thing, I split up with my wife during lockdown because we realised that we weren't suitable together. We've been together sort of 7 years. And
I was hurt. You are one of the people that I was hurt when I'm hearing that, Nomsa. It starts with the, oh, Nomsa, how are you? And then it starts with Nomsa. Do you know that me and my? And then I know what's coming. Everybody's been saying those words, and I'm like, I know what's coming now. Please tell me that's not it. That's not it.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's again, and it's about understanding why. So, the lockdown did bring a lot of things to the surface that we knew were there, that we knew were problems anyway. But yeah, I think if everybody's going to be dealing with this differently. Okay, maybe you're the one that didn't want to split up, and maybe the other person has realised you're not the right person for them. So again, I would just, grieve. You need to grieve the loss of the relationship in your own way. So make sure that you process your loss in the way that you need to. There's no right or wrong way to process your grief of losing a relationship. But understanding what happened, what were the problems, what were the issues within that relationship, so that the next time you move on and want to be with somebody else, that you're in the right type of relationship, so those issues don't happen again. But what was your role in it as well, I think is important, because we're always very quick to blame someone else. The first thing my coach said to me when I told her that we were separating was, what was your role in the problems? And it was a really good thing, because I wasn't looking at her to say, this, you did this and you did that. It was for me to go, say, what could I have done differently, and what was I doing that made sure this didn't work? Obviously it takes two people to make sure, but it's really important to recognize what you were doing. I know that I'd become quite avoidant in the relationship because I wasn't as close to her as I wanted to be. So therefore I'd emotionally backed off a bit. But yeah, so I would suggest you try and understand what your role was, why this went wrong in the first place. Were they really right for you in the first place? Were there cracks being papered over? The lockdown really did bring to the surface. Actually spending time with someone, did it actually make you realise this person wasn't right for you anyway? And if it is painful, which it well could be, is that you process that pain and that grief, and make sure that you allow yourself to have that if you need to, rather than someone saying there's plenty more fish in the sea, or you're going to be okay, or you'll get over it, and blah, they weren't right for you anyway. That might be true, but if you're feeling a certain amount of pain over it, it's important you also process that, so that you don't wallow in it for too long, that you don't allow yourself maybe to become a victim of it. And that you now start to think about, okay, this didn't work out. The reasons it didn't work out were A, B, C, D, whatever it might be. Next time, what do I want from somebody? What do I want in my next relationship when I'm ready? That means that this won't happen again. And again, what we talked about earlier on, there's a lot of self-work to do perhaps as well. So understanding what happened in the relationship may help you to see what your part was in that, and how your relationship patterns, beliefs, attachment style is played out. So what is it about me that I might want to change, that I might need to work on, in order to make sure that I'm in a good space the next time I go out into the world and to meet someone else.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, John. If anyone who is watching right now and they want to find you, how can they find you?
I'm plastered all over social media. Just
I know you cannot be missed. You are very, very active on social media.
Yeah, so John Kenny Coaching, if you can find me all over social media, so Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. The easiest way to get in touch with me and find out a bit more about what I do is just to go to the website, so www.johnkennycoaching.com. You can book in so I offer a 30-minute relationship breakthrough session with people, so they can just contact me for a 30-minute chat about where they are, what they want to do in their lives, and the kind of things they're looking for in their relationships. And generally we can come up with a few ideas in that 30 minutes about where they are and what they can do. And then we can talk about if coaching is the right thing for them moving forwards. But if they just want to find out a bit more about me or ask me a question, just fill out the contact box, send me a question via email, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, John. For anyone who is watching, please, if you are going through challenges at this minute during lockdown, and lockdown is, we can blame lockdown, but as John said, sometimes maybe the problems were already there and we didn't know anything about it. And you can get in touch with him on his website or the email address. Actually, we have an email address here on the screen. You can email him, and please don't be scared of somebody judging you, or to say, if I get in touch with somebody looking for coaching, that means I've been defeated. We all human. We all go through challenges in life. And it's how we respond to those challenges. The good way to respond is saying, listen, I need help. So if you are sitting there and you need help, or you need somebody to actually talk to you and give you some direction in dating, please get in touch with him, and he's the right guy for you. And I think we need to talk about, I think we need to have relationship specific, talking about a relationship show. I think when you are free with what else, who else is in there? I think there's one person who is a relationship coach. I think the three of us, we should actually cover relationship, because I don't think we cover it much. So
Okay.
yeah, people are going through a lot more than we realize, and I think we need to cover relationships more. So thank you so much, John. And everyone who is watching, please, if you like the message, press some heart button and share this message with your loved ones. Thank you so much.